Hello and welcome to Faithfully Stampin' with Jennifer Helm. I am Jennifer Helm, the Faithful Stamper, and I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up. Tonight I have for you another scrapbook video, and this is a scrapbook layout, obviously Halloween inspired if you're looking at the screen, and it's late October. Halloween is just a few days away, so I wanted to demonstrate a scrapbook layout that you could use if you are a scrapbooker. I am not much of a scrapbooker. I tried. I didn't do very well. I did 1 year for each of my daughters, and they're now 22 and 19. So obviously not my thing. Cards are more my thing, but I'm stepping outside the box because I had some requests for scrapbook layouts. So I'm really proud of this one because I pulled it out of my own little brain. I looked at some inspiration online. I didn't find anything that really spoke to me, and worked with the supplies that I have. Sometimes I do copy other demonstrators' ideas and tweak them a little to make them my own. In this case, that didn't really happen, so I said, okay, let's wing it, see what I can come up with. And I actually put this together in just a couple of hours, and that's start to finish design to completion. So not terribly complicated, but I'm gonna show you how to do this in case you'd like to replicate it. So here's a look at our full page, and then we're gonna go ahead and get started, and I'll detail some of the products for you. So this paper is actually Lemon Lime Twist. I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate with Granny Green, which is another fabulous shade of green that we have here in Stampin' Up. And so I'm going to start with a piece of 12 by 12 Granny Apple Green. And the DSP we are using is from the online exclusive Halloween Spells 12 by 12 Designer Series paper. It does coordinate with the Potions and Spells stamp set and coordinating die set that we have. So be sure to go online and check that out. And you can do that at my website, which is thefaithfulstamper.stampinup.net. And if you're interested in shopping, you can use my host code if you like. Be sure to also check me out on Facebook as The Faithful Stamper. I do a lot of posting there, different cards ideas and things like that. So take a look at that if you are so inclined. All right, I'm gonna move this out of the way and we're gonna go ahead and get started. Your favorite adhesive will be great for this. And I'm gonna use Stampin' Seal and then just a little bit of glue here in a moment. So the first thing I'm going to do is take this strip of Designer Series paper and put it along the left edge. Now this is one of our 12 by 12 pieces cut down to a 3-inch strip. And so you can get 4 of these from one sheet, so it's kind of nice for your scrapbooking needs. And then you do have extra to put on a card. If you've been watching my videos, you know my adhesive is famously persnickety, and apparently today is going to be no different. All right, probably the hardest thing I'm gonna do tonight is line up this corner. So I'm gonna start at the top corner and just kind of follow the edge down to the bottom, and there we go. I'm gonna give that a good press. Now the next thing I'm going to do is add 2 more strips of Designer Series paper. These are 1/2 inch wide by 9 inches. And so I'm gonna add 1 to the top and the bottom, just like this. So I opted to use glue for this part because I thought about tape runner, but my tape runner is just about as wide as the strip. And so all I'm gonna do is make a big mess. So I'm pulling out my liquid glue here. I'm holding it really tight down to the paper. Here we go. So tight it actually doesn't want to come out here. But you do not need a lot of this green glue, as we call it in Stampin' Up land. My friend Jody says dot dot, not a lot. Because if you put a lot on here, it's going to ooze everywhere. So I am going to, hopefully very carefully, lift this up and put my strip on. I just butt it up right against that cardstock at the top, kind of let it drop, and just give it a smooth. If I do need to move it a little, the glue will allow me to do that. And then let's see, I'm just gonna rotate this because it'll be easier for you to see. And see if I can pick this up here. I'm just gonna make sure my patterns match top and bottom. And then again, butt up against. There we go. All right. So those should glue in very, dry in very short order. So we're gonna go ahead and keep on moving to the rest of the page. All right, next up, we're gonna add our photo or journaling boxes. We're going to have 5 different ones on the page. Let's see, we're gonna start with 3 squares of Gorgeous Grape that are 3 1/4 inch square. These we're going to put down the side here. I'm not gluing anything down just yet. And then I'm going to add 2 more Gorgeous Grape boxes that are 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. And these we're going to put top and bottom, leaving a space in the middle that we're going to decorate and put an accent. What I like to do before I add any glue is just kind of eyeball where these are going to go. My spacing doesn't have to be perfect, but I want to get it sort of where I'm going to want to glue it down, and that just gives me a better visual. So one at a time, I'm going to add glue to these pages, or pieces. And then I'm just going to use this one in the center as my guide for all the rest. Now, if you are inclined, you can always get a ruler and line things up perfectly straight. I do tend to be a little bit of a perfectionist, but I have opted to eyeball these, and we'll see how I do here. All right, so there's the third one here in the line. Then I'm gonna do one of these boxes. Again, these are 3 1/4 by 4 1/4, and they will mat a 3 by 4 photo or journal box. Let's see. And then one more to the top. Okay. So, I think pretty good here. All right. Next, what I'm going to do is find my placeholders. What I use for placeholders, since I'm not adding photos to these at the moment, are just strips of copy paper. And what I do with these is I'll put a label on them so I know the sizing. But I will use one non-Stampin' Up! Product tonight, which is this removable adhesive from Tombow. If you're familiar with Tombow, the regular ones are blue with a permanent adhesive. This is black and green, and it's removable adhesive that's kind of like a Post-it note. And so I use this to just gently tack down my placeholders. That way, if I come back later and add photos, or if I give this to someone, they can just peel these placeholders off. They'll know what size the photos are, or what size the journal boxes need to be, and then they can just substitute their own pieces for them without ripping up the cardstock or without having to measure. So I will come back later and add my labels, but these are 4 by 3, and then these are the 3 by 3 squares. So let's move on to decorating. So we're gonna fill in this empty space here. I'm gonna move this just to the side while we do a little bit of stamping. So we're going to start with a 2-inch square piece of Gorgeous Grape. We're actually going to turn it on an angle in a minute and make it a diamond. I'm going to set that to the side. And what we're going to do is stamp on a 1 3/4 inch square. Again, we're going to turn it to be a diamond. This is just the reverse side of that striped paper. The Pool Party is kind of a nice fun color that accents those greens and purples and oranges very well. So I'm going to take Tuxedo Black Memento ink, that is my go-to black ink, and the Trick or Treat stamp. This is from our Throughout the Year set, which I believe just recently went out of stock and is not coming back. So I apologize about that. Just found that out over the weekend. But the Trick or Treat was perfect for size. There we go. And obviously you could substitute any stamp. You could substitute any size square that you needed to. Okay, so I'm gonna move this ink out of the way. So this is going to get layered on that purple or Gorgeous Grape. Let me use the technical name, Gorgeous Grape. Oh, here comes that persnickety adhesive again. just like that. Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit of something different here when I put this on the page. Normally I put all my dimensionals on, stick things down, but I struggled a little bit with getting my spacing just right when I was putting together my sample page. So I'm going to show you a little trick that I thought worked very well. And I'm going to take my Trick or Treat stamp here, flip it over, and I'm just going to put 2 dimensionals, one on the top and bottom of my diamond. And then I'll come back in a minute with the rest. So I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to center it top and bottom and side to side here as best I can, just to keep everything looking nice. Okay, so that leaves these little wings here on the side, and there's a reason I did that. I'm going to take 2 1.5-inch squares of Designer Series paper. This is the orange. It's the back side of the Potions and Spells. And this just pulls in more of those Halloween colors. But this morning, I was trying to line everything up and then put this on, and it just wasn't working well. And so I realized, hey, you should not have just eyeballed that and tried to put this in the middle. Glue this down first, but look, I can put these under here because I didn't stick it down with dimensionals yet. So I'm gonna go ahead and put some adhesive on the back here. This is a new roll of Stampin' Seal. I finally got a refill in. And of course, it's gonna give me trouble. But look, I can slide this right in. I can kind of hold it up and eyeball it. I'm trying to keep the edges kind of straight here, point to point, and then lined up like that. And then I'm just going to repeat on the other side, point to point, and look at that. Ha. Now I could probably just leave it like this, but I want to make sure these pieces don't get bent. So I'm going to come back, I'm going to take a dimensional and peel the backing off already. And I could just lift it up with my finger, but I want to make sure I don't bend the paper too much. So I'm using the tip of my Take Your Pick tool. I'm going to lift that up just a smidge and then slide it out. And I'm going to repeat on the other side. We'll see, I'm not left-handed, so we'll see if I can do this. If the dimensional will stop sticking to me. There we go. And again, look, easy peasy. All right, so we're gonna do a little more decorating here to this page. So to start, I'm going to add some stamps. I'm gonna stamp tone on tone with Granny Green ink on my Granny Green cardstock. And the stamp set Potions and Spells comes with some little kind of like sparkle bursts. I don't know what you want to call them, confettis. They'd be great for anything. So I'm just going to stamp randomly around the page here just to fill in some of the space. Obviously, I could leave it blank if I wanted. This nice skinny one fits very nicely in between the pages, or the columns, that is. This speckle is slightly larger, and I can rotate them and just fill in as I see fit. And I am kind of keeping things, let's see. I think I like that. I think we're not gonna go overboard. We'll come back to that on the other page. Okay, so there's our tone on tone stamping. It just kind of fills in the space a little bit, gives it a nice look. Now I'm going to add 2 die cut images. It's actually 3 pieces, but to start, I have die cut our little raven friend, and I stamped, colored, and then die cut him. He's a very happy little bird. So I'm going to add 1 large dimensional to kind of the center of his body, and then a small one on his tail. And the reason I'm not doing all of them, or all of his body, is because I want to have him kind of perched here right near these photos, but I want whoever puts the pictures down to be able to access this without having to tear the bird. So because I used my Post-it paper, look, came right out. I can just slip a photo back under and put it down. Okay, so there is my raven. Now I have a 2-piece die cut. This is our little witch's broom, or just a Halloween broom if you like. So I have die cut the handle in pecan pie and the base in crumb cake. So I'm going to add a little bit of adhesive to the back of the broom. Let's see here. I don't want to get sticky. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I like to save glue dots from kits. I have paper pumpkin kits. I have the regular kits collection. Be sure to check them out online. They're fabulous, easy ways to craft and get a lot done in about half an hour of time if you follow them to the letter. But they come with extra dimensionals and extra glue dots. And I keep these on hand because this is perfect for projects like this. I'm going to use these mini ones on the ever so skinny broom handle. So I'm going to take my Take Your Pick tool and just pick up a couple of these glue dots and put them on the broom handle. And, oop, not my fingers. The other thing I love about these glue dots is they're flexible. So I can take the backing off, and if I need to, I can kind of fold them to fit the space I want them to be in. So what I'm going to do here, I want the broom kind of lined up and leaning a little bit here on the corner of my photo mat. And then I'm just going to add the base of the broom. So isn't that cute? And one last thing, little bling for our page. I have some of these. These are our Druzy adhesive backed embellishments. I think these are my favorite at the moment. They're so sparkly and pretty. I love a little pretty bling. So I'm just going to add one of the small ones to either side of our diamond here. And then I'm going to come back and add one more on the next page once we get to that in just a minute. So there is our left-hand page for our layout. So now we'll move on to the right-hand side. And I went ahead and glued down our strip and the two strips top and bottom, and that way you didn't have to watch me do that again. So for this page, we are going to start with two photo mats that are Gorgeous Grape and they're 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. And we're going to put them one horizontally, one vertically, like this. Okay. So I'm going to start with this bottom one here. And as always, you can tweak the size of the photo boxes or journal boxes to fit your needs and your photos. This is just kind of creative inspiration for you to go with whatever works for you. All right, so we've got one there. We're going to put the second one up here. And again, I'm going to just for a moment use that removable adhesive to put down my placeholder. So these are 4 by 6. My recommendation, if you have something like this product that's removable, put it far away from your craft station so you don't accidentally make a card with it and then wonder why your card fell apart. I speak from experience. So I keep that as far away from my normal card making station as possible. That way I'm not doubling my work. All right, so these are the main photo boxes here. So we're gonna go start with our decorating. So to start, I'm gonna take a piece of Designer Series paper. This is 2 1/2 by 1 1/2. It's that same pool party color that I used to stamp on the first page. So again, we're just pulling the pieces back and kind of keeping the theme on both pages. So I have, almost stuck something in my ink here. That's why I always close them up. Double Double Toil and Trouble from that Potions and Spells stamp set. Again, our Memento black ink. And there we go. Perfect. I am going to put the lid on the black ink before I stick something in it. I'm more liable to wear this color than anything else. All right. So what I'm going to do here for a moment, I'm going to spruce this up a little. It would look fine all by itself, but I wanted to add a little more color to pull things together. So I went ahead and cut some banners. These are like 1/2 inch and about 3/4 inch. But I want to pop this piece on dimensionals, but these be flat on the page. So I'm going to kind of get creative with the way I glue this together. And I'm using my silicone mat to save my workstation. So I'm going to glue, good grief, there we go. My persnickety glue, add it again. These two banners together, like so. But since I want to glue them flat, I definitely want adhesive on the back here. But I don't want to try to figure out where this goes just yet. So I'm going to just lightly place that on my silicone mat, but I'll be able to pick it up really easy. So to my stamped piece, I'm going to come back. I'm going to put dimensionals on all 4 corners. And then I'm going to put one in the middle. And that's going to help me pick up this piece in just a minute. So I'll have this piece positioned where I want it on the banners, but then I can position the whole thing where I like it on the page. So sometimes you have to get a little creative and figure out a way that works for you. So I'm gonna just pat that together, pick this up, pop it right off. Still plenty sticky. Move that aside. And then this is gonna go right here at the top of our page. Isn't that cute? All right, so a little bit more stamping just to finish off the page. I'm going to be a little bit brave. Normally I wouldn't stamp a big image right here, but I'm going to try it tonight because I have my cauldron and I want to put it here, but it's a little boring without anything to add to it. So I'm going to stamp the bubbles or slime that coordinate with this from the stamp set. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball where I want it. Oop, try to get a little ink there. Okay. Pardon me. So that came out well. Now I'm going to grab some dimensionals and pop this on the back. Excuse me. Just enough here. This cauldron is actually multi-purpose. I had a friend just tell me she die cut it in orange and made a pumpkin out of that. So that's interesting. I'm assuming she trimmed it a little bit. If you flip it upside down and cut it in black, you can create a cat face. And I personally am going to use it in the spring and make some St. Patrick's Day cards and figure out how to make these look like gold instead of bubbles. So just a little fun fact and a way to stretch your die a little bit. Okay. So that's in place. We're going to add 2 more die cuts and then just do a little bit more stamping. So we have our our stack of books and then our kitty. I colored this one in smoky slate instead of basic black. So I'm going to add some dimensionals to these pieces and then they're going to fill in right here at the bottom. These small ones are perfect for the skinny little legs on the cat. It's nice to have multiple sizes we can use here. All right, so we're going to start with that stack of books. And that's going to go here. I did choose to put it a little bit above the bottom. And then the dimensional backings come off the cat. And then he gets perched right up on top, like so. So the final bit of stamping we're gonna do is I'm gonna take that greeny green ink and add some extra bubbles just to kind of pull our images together here. There's 3 different sizes of single bubbles. So, and you can move them around to fit your needs. So the little bubble accent is different places. Let's see. I think that'll do there. And then I'm going to go back to those little confetti bursts and just fill in a little bit more around the cat here and around the bottom and sides of our cauldron. And I just thought this really kind of pulled everything together and gave the pages a cohesive look. I think I'm going to add one right there. Okay, one final bit. I mentioned I was going to use that other druzy embellishment one more time, so I'm just going to pull that back out. I have one large one. I use the small ones on the other page. This I'm going to add right there. And just like that, our page is done. So let me pull out both pages. So there is our Halloween inspired scrapbook layout. So I hope you enjoyed learning how to do this technique. I hope it gives you some inspiration for your own Halloween layout. If you are new to the page here, I would love to have you as a subscriber. You can click the notification bell and be notified every time that a video goes live here on the page. I will not bill you for that. Notification bell. Nobody wants extra bills. And then I mentioned earlier, you can find me over on Facebook as The Faithful Stamper and check out my website if you are so inclined. I'd love to have you on my Facebook page as a follower there and part of that community. I share a lot of different ideas and Stampin' Up! Incentives there on that page. So thank you so much for watching. Take care and happy crafting.